The tension inside that courtroom was so thick you could cut it with a knife. We all thought we knew the exact truth about Meghan and what really happened with young Will behind those closed doors. But what went down today during the proceedings flipped the entire street completely upside down. Will's family stood up there, hearts entirely shattered, explaining how their sweet boy's spark was completely put out, replaced by dark shadows and anxiety. But Meghan didn't just sit there and take it. She fought back, pointing the finger right at Will's own father, dropping a massive bombshell that left the entire gallery gasping for air. If you are just as invested in this massive Cobbles drama as I am, and before we dive into the juicy details of this courtroom chaos and the shocking twists nobody saw coming, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to CoronationST Update. It really helps the channel, and trust me, you do not want to miss a single second of this tea as we uncover every hidden secret. Now, let's get right into the thick of it. When the accusations surfaced against Meghan, half the street was in absolute denial. Meghan always played the role of the perfect neighbour, the supportive figure, the one who was always there to lend an ear. But the reality painted by Will's family was a completely different story. Taking the stand, Will's father looked like a man who had aged a decade in just a few months. He spoke with a trembling voice about his son's deteriorating mental state, describing how Will went from a bright, ambitious lad to someone completely unrecognisable. He detailed the subtle ways Meghan allegedly started isolating Will, breaking down his boundaries under the guise of being a mentor. We are talking about serious allegations of inappropriate intimacy and crossing sensual lines that left this young man completely trapped in a toxic web. The family painted a picture of severe emotional mistreatment. They didn't need to use graphic words. The pain in their eyes said it all. Will was caught in a cycle of manipulation, where his intimation and trust were weaponized against him. But just as the gallery was swaying in complete sympathy for Will and his family, Meghan's defense team stepped up and started spinning a narrative that nobody saw coming. They didn't just deny the accusations, they completely flipped the script. The defense attorney started digging into Will's home life, painting his father not as a grieving, concerned parent, but as a rigid, overbearing tyrant. They suggested that Will's erratic behaviour and deteriorating mental health had absolutely nothing to do with Meghan. Instead, they claimed it was the immense, crushing pressure from his own family that broke him. Then came the moment that made everyone's blood run cold. Meghan took the stand. She didn't look like a woman facing a lifetime of consequences. She looked calm, collected, and ready to play the ultimate victim card. She looked right at the jury and swore that she was the only person who actually understood Will. She claimed her relationship with him was purely supportive, a safe haven from a home life that was pushing him to the absolute brink. And then, she dropped the absolute biggest shocker of the day. Meghan looked directly at Will's father and stated under oath that the father's relentless demands were driving his son so far into the dark that Will had confessed he almost offed himself. The courtroom absolutely erupted. Will's father leaped up, his face red with pure fury, shouting that she was a damn liar trying to save her own skin. The gavel was banging, people were crying, and in the middle of it all, Meghan just sat there with this chillingly serene look on her face. She knew exactly what she was doing. By throwing that out there, she planted a massive seed of doubt. What if it wasn't Meghan who ruined Will? What if the father's guilt was manifesting as a witch hunt against the only person who tried to help his son? It was a masterclass in manipulation, and it left everyone wondering who was actually telling the truth. Outside the courthouse, the fallout was instant and brutal. The entire community is emotionally exhausted. Friendships are fracturing right down the middle. In the cafe and the pub, you can hear the whispers. People who have known Will's family for years are suddenly questioning everything. Is it possible the father pushed his boy so hard he practically OD'd on the pressure of trying to be perfect? Or is Megan just the most calculating villain this street has ever seen? The tension is causing strained relationships everywhere you look. People are terrified of a wrongful acquittal. If Megan walks free, stepping out of those courtroom doors without a single consequence, what does that mean for the safety of everyone else? But hold on, because the drama outside the legal proceedings is just as messy. There is a whole layer of secrecy regarding the trial's progress that the lawyers are trying to keep tightly under wraps. Word on the street is that a secret piece of evidence is floating around, a digital footprint, maybe some hidden texts or a locked folder on Will's phone that the defense fought tooth and nail to suppress. Sources say this evidence shows the true nature of the sensual dynamics Megan was forcing onto Will. It supposedly proves that her so-called mentoring was nothing more than a calculated grooming process to control him. But because of legal technicalities, the jury hasn't seen it yet. The sheer thought of this evidence being buried makes my stomach turn, and it is driving Will's family absolutely mad with grief and frustration. The father is practically a walking ghost, haunted by Megan's accusations. You have to wonder what it does to a man to hear that his own parenting might have driven his son to the edge, to hear a woman, accused of destroying his boy, claim that she was actually the saviour. It is a psychological mind game of the highest order. And Megan? She is playing the long game. Even when she is cornered, she finds a way to deflect. Some of the neighbours have noted that her mask slips when she thinks nobody is looking. Just yesterday, someone caught her outside the local shop, and she had this smirk on her face, a cold, calculated smile that completely contradicts the weeping, caring mentor act she put on for the judge. The community is struggling with this massive betrayal. They want to uncover the truth, but the truth is buried under piles of legal jargon, courtroom tactics, and straight-up lies. Every time we think we have a handle on who is the victim and who is the villain, another piece of the puzzle gets flipped upside down. Will's story is a tragic look at how quickly trust can be weaponized. He thought he was getting guidance, but instead he was fed a diet of control and emotional manipulation. And now, his family has to sit in a sterile room and listen to the woman who allegedly tore his life apart tell the world that it was all their fault. It is a twisted, heartbreaking mess that is tearing the street apart. As we wait for the final verdicts and for all the locked-away secrets to finally spill out onto the cobbles, the fear of Megan getting away with it hangs in the air like a thick fog. If the jury buys her story, if they believe that Will was just a troubled kid pushed to the edge by his dad, and that Megan was just a friendly shoulder to cry on, it will be the biggest injustice we have seen in years. We are going to be keeping a very close eye on the judge's rulings this week, especially regarding that suppressed phone evidence. If that gets admitted, Megan's entire house of cards is going to come crashing down in spectacular fashion. Until then, keep your friends close, watch your back, and remember that sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who claim they are just trying to help.